Trump's immigration crackdown may cost your family $479 billion in lost taxes, and the IRS already knows. In the next 8 minutes, I'll show you the exact data and research behind this number, and the 3 key factors that could affect your family's budget. And by minute 6, I'll reveal the single most important thing you need to know about Trump's immigration policy and its impact on your taxes. Because by the end of this video, you'll understand how Trump's immigration crackdown could result in a significant reduction in tax-advantaged savings and benefits for middle-class families, potentially altering their long-term financial plans. Let's start with the headline number everyone's talking about. According to a comprehensive study by the Center for American Progress released in 2024, Trump's immigration policy could result in a $479 billion loss in federal tax revenues over the next decade. But where does this number actually come from? This isn't speculation. It's based on rigorous analysis of data from the U.S. Census Bureau, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and cross-referenced with immigration economics research from the Cato Institute and the American Enterprise Institute. The research takes into account several critical variables: the potential impact on labor market trends, changing immigration patterns, wage compression across industries, and consumer spending patterns. Here's the critical part that most people miss: this $479 billion figure compounds over time. We're not talking about a one-year hit. We're talking about cumulative tax revenue losses across multiple fiscal years as the economy adjusts to reduced immigrant labor participation. Now, let's break down the 3 key factors that could affect your family's budget directly. Factor 1. Labor market disruption and wage stagnation. First, let's understand how immigration directly affects tax revenue. When immigrant workers leave the labor force or are prevented from entering it, we don't just lose their individual tax contributions. According to BLS data, approximately 27 million immigrants currently work in the United States, contributing roughly $328 billion annually in combined federal, state, and local taxes. That's an average of $148 per immigrant worker per year. But here's where it gets more complex for your personal finances. When labor supply decreases in specific sectors, employers face a choice: automate, relocate, or raise wages. If they raise wages, that sounds good initially, but here's the catch. Higher labor costs get passed to consumers through inflation. A University of Pennsylvania Wharton study found that immigration restrictions could increase consumer prices by 1% across essential services including healthcare, food production, construction, and hospitality. Let me give you a concrete example. Consider a family in suburban Ohio with a $100,000 household income. According to the Census Bureau, that family spends approximately $18,000 annually on housing, food, and basic services. If labor cost inflation pushes prices up 5%, that family experiences an additional $270 in yearly expenses just from price increases. Multiply that across all 50 million middle-class households, and you're looking at $13.5 billion in direct household cost increases annually. That's money that doesn't go into 401(k)s or college savings funds. Furthermore, tax-advantaged savings are calculated as a percentage of income. When disposable income decreases due to inflation and rising costs, families contribute less to 401(k)s, resulting in lower tax deductions. A family that previously contributed $6,500 annually to their traditional IRA might reduce that to $5,000. Across millions of households, this reduction in contributions means substantially less tax revenue from foregone deductions. Factor 2. Sectoral economic contraction. The second factor is sectoral economic contraction, and this is industry-specific. Immigrants make up approximately 17% of the U.S. workforce overall, but in certain sectors, that number is dramatically higher. According to the Department of Labor, immigrants comprise 31% of agricultural workers, minus 26% of construction workers, 22% of food service workers, minus 28% of domestic care workers. When these labor forces contract, entire industries face crises. Let's look at agriculture specifically. California's agricultural sector, which produces nearly 2/3 of America's vegetables and 1/3 of its fruits, depends almost entirely on immigrant labor. The American Farm Bureau Federation estimates that a 50% reduction in agricultural immigrant workers would decrease agricultural GDP by $15-20 billion annually and increase food prices by 8-12%. Here's the domino effect. When agriculture contracts, farm equipment manufacturers lose business. Rural banks see fewer agricultural loans. Suppliers to farming communities, everything from fertilizer companies to equipment dealers, experience reduced revenue. Each of these businesses pays less in corporate taxes, less in payroll taxes, and their employees have less disposable income to spend. Construction tells a similar story. According to the National Association of Home Builders, immigration restrictions could increase new home construction costs by 10-15%, making homeownership unaffordable for approximately 3.5 million fewer families. This has cascading effects. Lower home sales mean lower property tax revenues for local governments, reduced demand for home furnishings and services, and decreased wealth accumulation for families who would have purchased homes. Factor 3. Entrepreneurship and job creation decline ****. This is the factor most analysts miss, the one I previewed in the intro. According to research from the Kauffman Foundation, immigrants are nearly twice as likely to start businesses as native-born Americans. Approximately 45% of Fortune 500 companies were founded by immigrants or the children of immigrants. Today, immigrants represent 18% of business owners, despite being only 14% of the population. Take the case study of Sergey Brin, co-founder of Google. He immigrated to the United States from Russia at age 6. Google currently employs over 190,000 people directly and has created hundreds of thousands of indirect jobs through its supply chain and ecosystem. Google's parent company, Alphabet, generates roughly $17 billion annually in federal tax revenue. Restrict immigration, and you potentially lose the next Brin, the next Elon Musk, whose mother is Canadian and whose father is South African, or the next Steve Jobs, whose biological father was Syrian. But it's not just mega entrepreneurs. Small immigrant-founded businesses generate substantial tax revenue. The SBA estimates that immigrant-owned businesses generate roughly $120 billion in annual tax revenue. Reduce the immigrant population by even 20%, and you're looking at $24 billion in lost tax revenue annually, the vast majority of which would have gone to federal income taxes. ****, how this affects your *specific tax situation. ***, let me connect this to your actual taxes. According to IRS publication 590 and current tax guidance, if the economy contracts and you lose earning potential due to job losses or reduced hours in affected industries, your taxable income decreases. This is critical. You can't use tax-advantaged savings vehicles on income you don't earn. Consider this scenario. You work in construction, earning $75,000 annually. You contribute 8% to your 401k, $6,000 per year. Your employer matches 3%, another $250. That's $8,250 in pre-tax retirement savings annually, which also reduces your taxable income by $6,000. If immigration restrictions reduce construction demand and your hours drop to 80% of previous levels, your income falls to $60,000. Now you can only contribute $4,800 to your 401k. You've lost $1,200 in personal retirement savings, and you've lost $1,200 in potential tax deductions. Multiply this scenario across the roughly 3 million construction workers in America, and you're looking at $3.6 billion in reduced 401k contributions annually. Over a decade, that's $36 billion in foregone retirement savings for middle-class families, savings that also represents foregone tax revenue. The counter-argument and critical analysis. Now, I want to address the counter-argument because intellectual honesty matters. Some economists argue that immigration restrictions could reduce unemployment for native-born workers and increase their wages. The argument goes, fewer immigrants means more jobs and higher pay for Americans. However, the empirical data doesn't strongly support this. According to research from the National Bureau of Economic Research, when immigration decreases, native-born workers don't simply fill those positions. Many jobs go unfilled, causing businesses to relocate, automate, or scale down operations. Additionally, wage increases from reduced labor supply are typically offset by price increases from higher labor costs. The net effect, according to studies from MIT's David Autor and Harvard's George Borges, shows minimal long-term wage gains for native workers and substantial economic contraction. What you need to know right now. Here's the single most important thing about Trump's immigration policy and tax impacts. It's not primarily about your federal income tax rate changing. It's about the economic base shrinking, which reduces everyone's earning potential and tax-advantaged savings capacity. For a middle-class family with a $100,000 household income relying on tax-advantaged savings vehicles, the combined impact of inflation, sectoral contractions, and reduced entrepreneurship could result in approximately $8,000, in reduced retirement savings over the next 3 years. That's not a tax rate change. It's lost wealth accumulation. Practical steps you should consider. First, if you work in construction, agriculture, or food service, assess your job security and consider diversifying your income sources. Second, lock in investment contributions now rather than reducing them in response to economic uncertainty. Third, understand that tax-advantaged savings limits are based on earned income. If your income decreases, so does your maximum contribution capacity. If this video has helped you understand how Trump's immigration crackdown could affect your family's